I'm interested in investing in property, but I have limited funds and resources available to me. I may also not qualify for a bond. What options are available to me to enable me to still participate in property and in property investments? Bruno?
Sure. Okay. So there's a lot of different options. So yeah, we wouldn't have enough time, even if the whole episode was still available to us. We still wouldn't have enough time to answer these questions. So at a very high level, I think the first thing that we need to consider is, what is a property investor, and what is your perception or your belief of what a property investor is? Because that'll probably already give you an indication. You could be a property investor right now by investing in the stock exchange. Because there's so many funds out there that are linked to properties. There's REITs, which is real estate investment trusts, that are basically just buying up properties, and you go and you own a little piece of this big investment trust. So you could be a property investor literally in the next minute by going to whatever, Easy Equities, and clicking a little bit, and there you go. There's a whole bunch of other platforms, for example, like Easy Property and oh, I always forget. It used to be Wealth Migrate. Now I can't remember what it's called. But they've got a relationship with SAPN. So basically, these are international funds where, again, you can just put it up on a platform and you get little bit by little bit ownership over some property abroad, right? So those are your very easy, almost passive, you don't do anything, property investor options. The more active property investment options are, the actual guys that go out and look for properties. So there, for example, you've got options like Stockvels. There's plenty of them. The brokerage, for example, you can always ask on the group, and I'll hand over their details. They've got turnkey properties that you can actually buy into alone or with other people, if you have any money to invest, right? And obviously now, the more community schemes that you actually do, the less money you're actually going to need to expend, because obviously now you're joining in a larger group. So that's typically the best option for someone that doesn't have a lot of finance. Now, when it comes to the most active style of investment, actually buying a physical property and trying to keep it for yourself, but you've got no funds, you've got no bank affordability. How do you go about doing that? There's really typically only two ways of doing it. The one's an installment sale agreement. It's covered by the Alienation of Land Act. It's a really, really great process, works very well, and it's now actually becoming very popular. So that's ISA agreements. And that's basically just making an offer to a owner and offering to pay off the purchase price over a period of time. Now, how involved you get in this depends on what your knowledge of this is. And I find that if you approach it and you don't have sufficient knowledge, you will struggle with it. So I definitely suggest approach a professional like Cilna or myself, because we structure these things all the time. There's an art to it. The other option, for instance, is very similar to install sale agreement, but it isn't. It's like a Custings brief. So what happens there is you buy the property, you actually take transfer of the property, and the seller basically acts almost like bank. So the seller finances his own purchase price by simply not asking for it ahead of time, is willing to pass the transfer, and then registers a mortgage bond over the property as security. It looks like a bank transaction, except it's not a bank that lends the money. It's simply the seller that doesn't ask for the money up front. And there you also pay in installments. Those two are very, very similar. Typically, if you're a seller, you wouldn't pass transfer the property. So I rarely ever experience those. So installment sale agreements are pretty much the most active way of investing if you don't have money.
That's actually, it's so amazing to hear that, because I'm sure, there's a lot of people who are interested in getting into, property investments, and to know that there's actually options available to you, even with limited resources. It's really amazing. So thank you for that, Bruno.